Republicans are on the warpath against voting rights in the wake of their loss in the 2020 election. State lawmakers are introducing hundreds of bills to make it harder to vote, including in Georgia, where House Republicans just passed a bill full of voting restrictions in an effort to hang on to power in a state that just elected President Joe Biden and sent 2 Democrats to the U.S. Senate. The Supreme Court today heard 2 cases out of Arizona where Democrats are hoping to strike 2 laws for violating the Voting Rights Act. One law blocks the counting of ballots cast in the wrong precinct. Another prohibits anyone other than a family member or caregiver from collecting and delivering a voter's absentee ballot. And there was a startling admission today from a lawyer for the Arizona Republican Party who was asked by new Justice Amy Coney Barrett, why exactly is the Republican Party involved in the case? Why Republicans want to stop people from having their votes counted?
I'm interested in knowing why the RNC is in the case. So, the DNC had standing, and the district court said that it had standing to challenge the out-of-precinct policy because the policy placed a greater imperative on Democratic organizations to educate their voters and because the policy harmed its members who would have voted out of precinct. What's the interest of the Arizona RNC here in keeping, say, the out-of-precinct ballot disqualification rules on the books?
Because it puts us at a competitive disadvantage relative to Democrats. Politics is a zero-sum game.
You get that? It's rare you get that said so clearly, okay? Republicans want to be able to throw out people's votes if they vote in the wrong precinct because throwing those votes out, disenfranchising those people who, again, were voting in good faith, maybe they made a small mistake, that would help them win. According to the Republican Party, politics is a zero-sum game. That is what this is all about. For more on what Republicans are trying to do, I'm joined now by the founder of Democracy Docket, Mark Elias, renowned Democratic attorney and expert in election law. Were you as struck by that moment in oral arguments today as a lot of people were?
Chris, I was and I wasn't. On the one hand, it was a remarkable admission that voters who had showed up at the little red schoolhouse rather than the little white schoolhouse. These are eligible voters. These are voters who are registered. These are voters who are only voting one time, that they should have their ballots tossed out, even though they're otherwise lawful voters and it overwhelmingly burdens minority voting rights. The fact that the Republican lawyer, was so clear that, we want to do that because that's in our political interest, was both not surprising because that's what we have seen the Trump presidency do to the Republican Party. But it was surprising, or it was jarring, I should say, more than it was surprising to hear it actually in court.
Yeah, one of the things that is worth burrowing in on this point, right, is that, again, they're looking at this from the perspective of the aggregate of who it helps or hurts. But again, there's inevitably going to be Republican voters who voted the wrong precinct too, right? We're talking about the margins, but from the perspective of a democratic citizen, I just want my fellow citizens to be able to cast their votes. That's the important thing, right? The marginal advantage to me, overlooks the fact that people across the political spectrum will be affected by this.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.